Assalamualaikum dear students, hope you are fine. Our today's topic for discussion is Love Across the Salt Desert, written by Kiken N. Daruwala. In today's lesson, we will discuss questions of the text from question number 7. So now let us start. Question: was the trade that was carried on across the border legal? Give a reason for your answer. Was the trade that was carried on across the border legal? Give a reason for your answer. Answer: no, the trade was not legal. No, the trade was not legal. It was not legal. The people of Khawda and the adjoining area would smuggle Indian goods into Pakistan and vice versa. They would bribe the officials and deputed troops through agents like that of Zaman. Had the trade been legal, there would have been no question of bribery. Question number 8. When he heard about his son's disappearance, what was Aftab's first suspicion? Answer: Aftab suspected that his son might have gone to Pakistan along with the bundles of tendu leaf which he had brought. Right? Question number 9. What made Aftab suspect that his wife knew about Najib's going away? Answer: Aftab had thought that his wife would faint on hearing that his son had disappeared. Aftab had thought that his wife would faint on hearing that his son had disappeared, but his prediction proved wrong because his wife did not even blink in surprise. But his prediction proved wrong because his wife did not even blink in surprise. His eye fell on her bare arm, and he found the gold bangle missing. All this made him suspect that his wife knew about Najib's going away. Now the question is, Zaman was an important person in the village. Zaman was an important person in the village and was called the chief because. Now tick the right answer. Number A is he was the strongest man in the village. B, his family had ruled the village for years. C, he arranged smuggling trip across the border and had close contacts with the officials on both sides of the border. Now the answer is Zaman was an important person in the village and was called the chief because he arranged the smuggling trips across the border and had close contact with officials on the border both sides of the border. Zaman was an important person in the village, and he was was called the chief because he arranged the smuggling. He arranged the smuggling trip across the border and had close contacts with officials on both sides of the border. Now, question number 11 is: what was the Zaman's reaction to Najib's absence from the village? What was the Zaman's reaction to Najib's absence from the village? Why? Zaman's reaction was a wave of great anger and disappointment to Najib's absence from the village. He told Najib's father that his son was not innocent and introvert as the world believed, and there was no limit to his annoyance. He was the chief of the smugglers, and none of them would cross the border without his permission. But Najib was the first person who had not sought his permission, and for the same reason he was very much upset. Answer. Let me repeat the answer. Question is: what was the Zaman's reaction to Najib's absence from the village? Why? Answer. Zaman's reaction was a wave of great anger and disappointment to Najib's absence from the village. He told Najib's father that his son was not innocent and introvert as the world believed, and there was no limit to his annoyance. He was the chief of the smugglers, and none of them would cross the border without his permission. But Najib was the first person who had not sought his permission, and for the same reason he was very much upset. Now the question is, question number 12. The absence of man and camel from the village was significant. The absence of man and a camel from the village was significant because, see whether true or false. It meant that someone had across the border. It means someone had across the border. It means someone had come into the country. It means that camel would be confiscated by the officials. Number A is true, number B is false, and number C is false. Number 13. Padma says, just my luck to run into mutes. Who the mutes she refers to? Why does she make this statement? Answer. Fatima and Najib fell in deep love at the first sight. Fatima and Najib fell in deep love at the first sight. She had been under pressure to get engaged to a stammer, namely Mahfouz Ali. She wanted to elicit a word from Najib but could not, for he was a shy, quiet and pleasant young man, so ready with his smiles. So Fatima found herself in a dilemma and started thinking that there were mutes in store for her, and the mutes were Mahfouz Ali and Najib. Now the question is question number 14. Najib knew that Fatima loved him because Najib knew that Fatima loved him because, let me repeat question. Najib knew that Fatima loved him because, take the right answer. She made special dishes for him to eat. She told him that she loved him. See, she made suggestive gestures. Answer. Najib knew that Fatima loved him because she made suggestive gestures. Now question number 15. Was Kalisha happy to see Najib? How did Najib win his trust? No. Answer. No. Kalisha was not happy to see Najib. He expressed his unhappiness, saying that he had come unannounced, dragged the police behind him, and had not brought tendu leaf with him. But Najib was very quick to understand the situation. After showing the gold bangle, he told Kalisha that he had come for clothes and would pay in gold. In this way, he won his trust. Now, question number 16. Though Fatima belonged to a different country, she did not hesitate in eloping with a boy from another country. Give two reasons. Let me repeat question. Though Fatima belonged to a different country, she did not hesitate in eloping with a boy from another country. Give two reasons. Answer. True love does not know boundaries, hurdles, bullets and reasons. It is madness to put hurdles in the way of true lovers. Though Fatima belonged to a different country, but she did hesitate in eloping with a boy from another country, and the reasons are obvious. First, she did not want to marry Mahfouz Ali. Though Fatima belonged to a different country, she did not hesitate. But she did not hesitate in eloping with a boy from another country, and the reasons are obvious. First, she did not want to marry Mahfouz Ali, who was a stammerer. Second, she was in the true and deep love with Najib. Number 17 question. Fatima calls Najib a mute, yet he proposes to her. How does he do that? Najab was known to be a shy and introvert boy? Answer. Najab was known to be a shy and introvert boy. He fell in deep love with Fatima at the first sight, but could not tell her straightforwardly about his love, so she called him mute. However, he proposed her through gestures. He plunged his arms around her and promised that he would again come to take her to his home. Why did people Khawda welcome Fatima with open arms? The people of Khawda had been in the grip of acute drought, acute drought for 3 successive years, and everything was badly hit. But when Fatima stepped in the village, the clouds burst and the drought came to end. Her coming to village proved auspicious occasion and brought prosperity to the villagers in the form of rain. So the people of Khawda village welcomed her with open arms and delight. Now question number 19. The writer has used a number of colorful phrases to describe Fatima's beauty. Find the expression to describe the following: eyes, number B hair, number C laughter, number 4 eyebrows, number 5 smell. Answer. First part, eyes. Her eyes are so bright that they would have lit up the darkness of the underworld. Now be here. Her hair was as black as night itself. Now third, that is laughter. Her laughter had the timbre of the ankle bells. Her laughter had the timbre of ankle bells. Now eyebrows. Her eyebrows were black wisps of the night. Now smell. She smelled of cloves and cinnamon. Now question number 20. Najab as described in the early part of the story, and Najab was, as we see in the later part, or different but similar in some ways. Compare and contrast Najab's character before and after journey across the desert. Answer. The love across the salt desert depicts a love affair of two true and sincere lovers, namely Najab and Fatima. There are many characters in the story, but Najab has got a pivotal position. In the early part of the story, he is a very shy, introvert, and reserved boy. He was known to have blushed at the mere mention of a girl. He had dreamy eyes. None of his friends had ranked him among the braves. Even his father, of the pure boy, would waste away all that he and his ancestors had acquired. He considered him too shy to be able to change money. What would he sell? But all these predictions proved wrong. In the later part of the story, Najib turned to be courageous, brave, and determined son after his first meet with Fatima, who ignited a spark of love in him. He undertook a dangerous journey, crossed the border, and met his love. He did not care for bullets and difficulties. He faced all the hardships he met during the trip with a smiling face. He was true, sincere, and faithful in his love. He had understood what love really means. He felt his love and saw image of Fatima in every object he touched, imagined, and articulated. In the initial part of the story, his character is marked by shyness and diffidence, but in the later part of the story, his bravery and confidence are spoken of. Now last question, that is question number 21. Zaman, Aftab, and Kalisha were all involved in the same trade, yet they were different in many ways. Compare the three and rate them from the least villainous to the most villainous. Give reasons for answers. Answer. Zaman was a veteran smuggler. He was the chief smuggler in the area where he lived. He would arrange illegal trips for the smugglers and keep the rangers happy. He was a very influential person so far as crossing of the border was concerned, though Najib crossed the Ran with his consent but had a close shave. Aftab was father of Najib. He was also a smuggler. He would smuggle things from India to Pakistan. He would take tendu leaf and sell them across the border. He was not hopeful about his son and would say that he would waste away anything on account of his shyness. He had never expected any act of bravery from his son. He was an affectionate father. His heart sank with grief on hearing about the disappearance of his son. He prayed that his son might come back safely. Kalisha lived in Sindh. He was a spice seller. He would harbor the Indian smugglers and arrange spice like cloves and cinnamon for them. He thought only in terms of business. He got angry when he found Najib empty-handed. He had links with their local police, and the guardians of law could do nothing against him. There is hardly anything appreciable about his character. Zaman is the most villainous character. He would do anything for the sake of money. It is Aftab who seems to be the least villainous. He is trembled and terrified on hearing the news of his son's disappearance. Thank you very much.